In the final days of World War II, the official end of Nazi Germany was signed not once but twice. First in Reims on May 7, 1945, and then again on May 8 in Berlin. This dual signing has puzzled historians and enthusiasts alike for decades, but why did Stalin insist on a second surrender ceremony, and why did it have to take place in Berlin? The answer lies in the complex web of political maneuvering and power struggles that characterized the final days of the war. Today, on the Forgotten Chronicles, we'll uncover the hidden tensions among the Allied powers. The surrender in Reims was seen as a formality by some, but for others it was a critical moment that needed to be recognized on a grander stage. We will delve into the conspiracy theories surrounding the surrender that raised questions about what was really going on behind the scenes. Was it merely a matter of protocol, or were there deeper, more sinister motives at play? Join us as we explore the intricate details and untold stories that shaped this pivotal moment in history. From the political chess game between the Allied leaders to the secret negotiations that took place away from the public eye, we aim to shed light on the lesser-known aspects of the war's end. Stay tuned as we unravel the mysteries and bring you closer to understanding the true nature of the events that led to the final surrender of Nazi Germany. As 1945 wore on, Germany's defeat was clear. Hitler was dead and the Nazis were in disarray, their forces collapsing under the pressure of Allied advances. Desperate to end the bloodshed, representatives of the Nazi government entered surrender talks with the Allies at Reims, France. Here, deep within Allied headquarters, a secret ceremony would take place that would end the war in Europe, but only temporarily. On May 7, 1945, in a quiet room in Reims, German officers signed the first document of unconditional surrender. This moment was supposed to mark the end of years of brutal conflict that had ravaged Europe and beyond. With this signing, the war should have been officially over. Allied leaders and citizens around the world began to celebrate, believing that peace had finally been achieved. But Stalin had other plans. The Soviet leader was not satisfied with the ceremony in Reims. He insisted that the signing in Reims was incomplete, demanding a second ceremony in Berlin. Stalin wanted a more significant and symbolic gesture to mark the end of the war. The Soviet Union's victory over the Nazis was, in Stalin's view, the ultimate triumph, a testament to the immense sacrifices made by the Soviet people. And it needed to be symbolized with Germany's surrender under Soviet eyes. Stalin believed that the Soviet Union deserved to be recognized as the primary force behind the defeat of Nazi Germany. The image of Soviet soldiers raising their flag over the Reichstag in Berlin became an enduring symbol of this victory. For Stalin, the Berlin ceremony was not just a formality, but a crucial assertion of Soviet power and influence in the post-war world. This insistence on a second surrender ceremony also highlighted the emerging tensions between the Allies, foreshadowing the geopolitical struggles that would soon define the Cold War era. The dual ceremonies in Reims and Berlin marked the end of World War II, but they also set the stage for the next chapter in global history, where the world would be divided by ideological lines and the quest for dominance between East and West. Stalin's insistence on a second surrender, mere hours after the first, raised eyebrows in Allied circles. The timing and urgency of this demand were seen as unusual and unnecessary by many. Was this a power move by Stalin to cement Soviet influence over post-war Europe? The Soviet leaders' actions were often scrutinized for hidden agendas, and this instance was no different. Some historians believe the Reims surrender highlighted political rifts within the Allied command. The initial surrender at Reims was supposed to mark the end of hostilities, but Stalin's insistence on a second ceremony suggested deeper issues. These suspicions were further fueled when the Berlin signing, under Soviet supervision, took place on May 8, 1945, a day after Reims. This delay allowed the Soviet Union to orchestrate a more prominent role in the final act of the war, giving Stalin and the Soviet Union a significant symbolic victory. The Berlin ceremony was not just a formality, it was a statement of Soviet power and influence. The celebrations that followed in the Soviet Union were grand and triumphant, reflecting the importance Stalin placed on this event. This move was seen by many as a strategic effort to assert dominance in the post-war order, ensuring that the Soviet Union's contributions and sacrifices were recognized and remembered. The secrecy around the initial surrender at Reims has led to conspiracy theories. Some claim that the Allies used the surrender as an opportunity to cut private deals with German officials, allowing certain high-ranking Nazis to evade prosecution. Others suggest that it was a strategic move by the Western Allies to limit Soviet control and influence in occupied Germany. The split surrender ceremony left a legacy of suspicion. It symbolized the beginning of post-war tensions that would soon erupt into the Cold War. The events at Reims and Berlin foreshadowed the deep political divisions that would shape the world for decades. To this day, questions linger about what exactly took place during the Reims negotiations and why Stalin fought so hard for a separate ceremony. As we look back at the shadowy surrender negotiations at Reims, we're reminded that history often hides more than it reveals. Were the dual surrender ceremonies simply a power struggle between Allied leaders, or was there something deeper at play? Perhaps the true story of the Reims surrender will remain one of World War II's most intriguing mysteries.